So my brothers, my sisters, you may or may not be aware that there have been new upgrades, should I say upgrades, or changes to the protocols for arriving passengers into Nigeria starting on the 5th of September 2020, which is the new date for reopening the airports in Lagos and Abuja. Please, please, please watch this video attentively, because I don't want a scenario whereby you don't get information well, and for that reason you have issues getting back to Nigeria. The reason why I'm stressing for you to watch it well is from the sounds of the presidential task force in their briefing, I don't think Nigeria is playing around at all. First of all, before I get started, I want to say a huge thank you to my subscribers. Guys, like over the past 10 days, I believe I've received about 1,400 new subscribers on the channel. Like, thank you so much. Many of you are from, tuning in from the US, the UK, Ghana, and Nigeria, of course. I really appreciate you guys. Like, welcome to the family. I really hope you really enjoy the content that's on here and you find it very informative. If it's your first time here, my name is Sassy Funke and I'm a Nigerian travel and lifestyle content creator. I'm also the founder of Travel to Niger. Travel to Niger is your #1 trusted platform for everything travel to Nigeria. Right now on our Instagram page, we're very focused on providing information to really help Nigerians during this pandemic be well informed about what's going on with regard to travel. So make sure to check us out, follow us on Instagram, and also turn on your notifications so you never miss anything. Do also check us out on www.traveltoniger.com, where there's so much information that's curated and catered for the average Nigerian traveler. So to get straight into this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the updated protocols. There were a lot of things that were missing in the last video with regard to where's the health questionnaire, where will that be filled out, where do you pay for the COVID test in country. All that information I'm going to be providing in my video, and I'm also going to be sharing my thoughts and perspective with regard to these new protocols and this new sort of clarity that we now have. And I have my phone here, so I'm going to be reading from my phone to ensure that I don't make any mistakes. So if I'm looking here, that's why, just so I make sure that I'm 100 with my content. So straight into this video. This video is going to actually be cut into 3 different parts. The first part of the video is going to be focused on your pre-departure from country of exit protocols. So the things that the guidelines you have to follow before you leave your country of exit. So if you're coming to Nigeria from UK, these are the things you have to do in the UK before you board your flight. Yes? The second part is going to be focused on your arrival in Nigeria. What is the process once you land in Nigeria? And finally, I'm going to be talking about exit from isolation, because every passenger has to isolate when they get to Nigeria. Yeah? So number 1, talking about the things that you have to do before you leave your country of departure. All intending travelers to Nigeria must have tested negative for COVID-19 by PCR in the country of departure pre-boarding. The PCR test must be within 96 hours, yes, and preferably within 72 hours pre-boarding. So that is about within 4 days, but preferably within 72 hours pre-boarding. For certain countries, COVID-19 PCR tests will only be acceptable from specified laboratories. So let me quickly clarify that to you guys. This has changed. The old video I did when they said that their protocol is COVID-19 7 days before your flight, they said no more 7. It's now 4 days before your flight, and preferably 72 hours before your flight is when they would like for you to do your COVID test. They've also stated that for some countries, the COVID-19 test has to be done from specific laboratories, right? And you may wonder, if I'm in the UK, do I have to use specific laboratories and things like that? I will explain whether you do or not shortly. Number 2, any test that is done more than 96 hours before departure are not valid. So if you do a test 4 days and an hour before departure, it is not valid. And that person will not be allowed to board the flight. but they do still advise that try and do it 72 hours minimum, right? Number 3, all intending passengers are required to register by this new Nigeria International Travel Portal, right? This website. This has been probably the biggest question I've received after my last video with regard to, okay, they said you have to do self-assessment, health questionnaire online, you have to pay for your in-country test online. Where is the website? They have given us this information. The website is nitp.ncdc.gov.ng. I'm going to literally put up the website on here so you guys can go and check it out yourselves. I'll also leave it in the description box so it's easy for you guys to click on it and go directly to the website, right? And they said on this portal, there are basically 3 things that you need to do. 3 things when you go to this website. Number 1, the health declaration and self-reporting, right? So the first thing you do is you basically fill out the online health declaration form, which is located on the same national international travel platform. Make sure that your contact details is right so that they can verify you and they can reach you in Nigeria if they need to. So they also say that passengers should inform port health officials on arrival if there's a change in their number or their address so that they can reach them if there's an outbreak or anything happens like that, right? Secondly, on this website, what you have to do, you need to upload your negative COVID-19 PCR results to the national payment portal and also bring a hand copy or an electronic copy of the result with you. Number 3, finally, you need to pay for a repeat second PCR test to be done upon arrival in Nigeria. This portal will provide passengers with the option of where and when to carry out the PCR test. Passengers will be given an appointment date and time to present themselves at the lab for a repeat test, which will happen on the 7th day after arrival. So I should mention here with regard to the test, because a lot of you guys have been asking me questions about how much is this test gonna cost. The test is cost 50,000 naira. Yes, how do I know? A member of Travel to Nigeria actually today went through the process and sent me a screenshot of it. I'll show you guys the screenshot, but it's not only 50,000 naira because there's a card per transaction fee, which is about 504 naira 50 cents, and stamp duty too. So everything came up for him to 50,954 naira. Guys, I know this is expensive. Like, I feel like this is a burden for so many people, and it's probably going to be a deterrent for some people that are planning to come and visit Nigeria to be like, I'm not going anymore if it's that expensive. You know what I mean? So yes, that's an additional cost that some people are not planning to pay for, but that's the reality of it, right? So finally, on completion of all these 3 things that I mentioned, an access report containing a QR code will be sent by email to the passenger. So once you get this email, just print it out and download it because you need to present it before boarding. They state that if you don't show it, they won't let you board, basically. Number 4, at the time of boarding, all passengers will obviously be checked if they have a fever or if they have any symptoms of COVID-19. If they do, they will not be allowed to board the flight. Number 5 is all about basically the punishment for airlines that refuse to behave themselves, right? They mentioned that airlines should only board passengers that have the COVID test 96 hours before. If they have a test that is longer than that's like maybe 5 days, 6 days, they should basically, airlines have to deny people, right? Airlines that board passengers with a negative PCR test or a test result of more than 7 days prior to boarding will be sanctioned. That sounds a little bit contradictory because during the briefing, I believe they said, they didn't say 7 days, but I don't know. That's what it says in this document here. So with regard to the punishment for airlines, so non-Nigerians may be refused entry and basically told to basically go back to their country, and the airline has to pay for that cost, right? The Nigerians though will be allowed to enter because it's your country, but you'll be subjected to a 14 days mandatory quarantine at a facility approved by the government. So you're not going to your house to isolate. You are going to go to an institutionalized quarantine isolation facility. Yes. And finally, airlines are going to be fined $3,500 per passengers if they do not comply with the pre-boarding requirements that I've stated. So let's talk a little bit more about on arrival in Nigeria. What actually happens? What do you expect in terms of the process? So all passengers arriving in Nigeria will be required to go through first a routine port health screening and present their electronic or printout of the access form they received for verification and approval by the port health officials. Then, secondly, there'll be a further temperature screening by the health officials, and anyone that is over 38 degrees, temperature of 38 degrees, will be required for a secondary screening. At the secondary screening, travelers will be further checked for symptoms of COVID, to see if they have COVID-19. But if you don't have COVID-19 or any symptoms, you'll be allowed to go through immigration, right? So when you get to Nigeria and you've gone through immigration, you basically have to self-isolate for 7 days. Yes, so basically stay away from everybody and be safe for 7 days. Next of all, and this is really important, passengers must actually show up, right, at a sample collection center on the 7th day of arrival, right? Your samples will be taken, you get a COVID PCR test done, and they might also send you a reminder text message the day before, because people can forget to actually that they have a test coming up, so they might send you but don't count on it, because it might not happen. So if you don't submit yourself, if you don't go to the test center, basically on the 7th day, they'll send you reminders, they'll forward your details to the authorities for them to follow up. But after 14 days, if you've not showed up at any test lab to get your COVID test done, right, they might actually start sanctioning you, punishing you, right? So what is this punishment? Number one, they might seize your passport from you. They might include you on a no-fly list, so that if you try to fly, they'll basically reject you from flying for 6 months, and you're going to be denied foreign travel for the whole 6 months, right? So next of all, so if you have gone through the process and done your test as per you should, as scheduled, your test results should come out in 24 to 48 hours, and the relevant authorities will be informed about it. People that test positive will be managed under the national guidelines. People that test negative after 7 days can leave isolation on the 8th day and continue their lives. Travelers that are reporting COVID symptoms on arrival or during screening will not be allowed to quarantine, self-quarantine, and will be placed in institutionalization quarantine. So basically, if when you arrive at the airport, you start temperature, you start having COVID symptoms, you're going to be taken away to be institutionalized and isolate in a government approved institution. Yeah, pretty much. So they also talk a little about deportees here. Deportees, if one of you guys test positive for COVID-19, all the primary close contacts will be required to undergo screening, and also may have to do a PCR test, right? The passengers will be monitored as per usual. That's pretty much it when it comes to on arrival in Nigeria. So and finally, the final category, exit from self-isolation. Persons who have tested negative for COVID-19 after 7 days of self-isolation will be allowed to exit it. If there is anything you need to take away from this video, guys, is number one, PCR test is the only approved method, right? As I stated in my old video before, for testing, you need to do your test latest within 96 hours, which is 4 days before your flight. Don't do it 4 days and an hour before, as I mentioned before. Second of all, make sure you note down the website that you have to fill your self-assessment health questionnaire, and also to pay for your 50K for your COVID test in country. It is so important, because without these two things, they won't even let you board the plane to Nigeria. The other part, when you get there, you figure it out. But all those pre-criteria are the most important parts. I really hope this video has been so useful. I hope I've explained things really well and it's been super clear. If it hasn't and you still have questions, feel free to drop me questions in the comment section below, and I'll answer them. Let me know if there are other videos you want me to do. Don't forget to follow Travel to Niger on Instagram. Check out our website, www.traveltoniger.com. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for being a part of the family. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.